The views and opinions expressed on the cap are those of the hosts. They do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of OldMilk Media. Any opinions stated aren't intended to offend anyone. All right, episode 408. There's a lot of change going on. First of all, Damian Lillard just requested a trade from the Portland Trailblazers, free agency. Everyone's going everywhere. Also, and I think this is also like mad ESPN people got fired and stuff like that. It's just change all around. Taylor, how are you doing in this season of change, it appears?
Hey, I'm doing good. This will be my last show here back in Massachusetts. And you know what I'm realizing right now is we might never get another one of me with my normal background because I'm moving apartments once I get back to California. So
Oh
you're
shit.
right, it is a season of change. But hey, this is a good way to kind of have like a steady thing that we do every week to come back to. It's a good like thing for normalcy, at least for me. So
Yeah, it's the only thing grounding me, honestly. They're apparently pushing Beyond the Spider-Verse back like 2 years or so. They didn't really give us a date, but it's not going to be next year apparently. So that's also a big change. But the one thing I do want to talk about before we start is Shohei Ohtani being the greatest player of all time. He is currently on the same pace as Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, I believe, had 30 home runs in 82 games, and whatever the number is that Aaron Judge had last year, that's what Ohtani's at right now. And let me just tell you, Ohtani is a top 5 pitcher and he's coming for 64 home runs. And Taylor, you can write that down. I said it here first.
yeah, I mean he is. I think there's in the reason baseball there's a specialness to baseball sometimes that like even if Shohei goes on to continue to do this, like there's still a case for the Willie Mazes of the world to be like the greatest player of all time, and that's like a fun thing about it. It's not so much like our favorite sport, that is there's two guys, you have to pick one of them, and if you don't agree with the other side, then it's a problem forever. So I think there's certainly like I'm not going to disagree with you about Shohei's place as the best player right now, greatest player of all time, best player of all time, however you want to frame it. And it's amazing what he does. And right now, like obviously he has 30 home runs and that's crazy, but he's hitting bombs.
Yes.
Like
He
he
hit
is
one like
hitting.
500 feet last night.
I know he's hitting like absolute just tanks to all fields too. It's not like he's just this like pull hitter who throws super hard. It's like no, he is incredibly well rounded in all ways, and I'm doing my best this season, and I feel like I'm doing a good job of really like understanding how special it is what's happening, because there's no way to say that he's going to keep up this pace for however long. You never know,
Yeah.
like especially with how arms work and all that. So it's like I'm
Knocking on
doing
wood,
my
by the
best
way.
to appreciate what's happening right now because it's unprecedented, and it's arguably like the greatest thing I've seen in sports.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, as far as most dominant, he's on the level of like Shaq, whoever you want to name. Like, he's on the level of most dominant player in sports right now. And once you reach that level, you're basically goated forever. By the way, put Bo Jackson in the Hall of Fame, just something random because he was also on that level doing it in 2 sports, which was also crazy. With that being said, we have music to talk about. This is the Cat Podcast, episode 408. I am Nate Sperlin. That is Taylor McLeod. Thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, and more. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media, and check out all the Old Milk merch on oldmilk.co. It's your weekly tour through hip hop. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for music. My natural inclination to say is it's been a good couple of weeks, but I'll put it more as it's been an interesting couple of weeks that we've had. I mean, we've had big artists dropping almost every week, like weekly for the past month or so, past 3 weeks or so. So we're at a point where the year started off very slowly. Like you and I didn't make a podcast until halfway through May,
May, yeah.
I think it was, and I didn't feel like we were just skipping albums to like take a break. It felt like, all right, we don't even need to be here right now. And now it's like, all right, we're kind of back to where we were last year, where it's like every Friday feels a little bit like an appointment viewing. It's like, all right, you got to, or appointment listening, I guess. You got to be there. And this week, the Pink Tape's been hyped for
Boy, what
years.
an appointment.
Yeah, right. It's been hyped for years, and it's finally here. And I mean, it's certainly something to discuss.
Yes, it is. Before we get into talking about the Pink Tape, we will talk about our normal segments first. The first one being power rankings of albums that we listened to over the past week. Taylor, what are your top 3 albums?
So because I'm on this thing where I'm trying to really like stick to what I say and not just be like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this album for a couple months and then the next week I come back and I was like, I didn't play it. Right now I'll have from the bottom, Gift and a Curse, Gonna. I have Continuance, Currency, and Alchemist right in the middle, splitting it, and then Business is Business. I've been definitely doing my due diligence to keep that playing, so I'm not just letting it go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah. Interesting that you're putting kind of like a sandwich in between. Like it's like you're scared to play
Yeah.
Young Thug and Gunna back to back. But anyway, my number 3 is Business is Business. Mainly for the reason that I wanted Young Thug to get to number 1, and he's not going to. I think he sold like 88,000, so he's gonna be number 2. Number 2 on my list, I have Lil Durk, Almost Healed, still the album of the year for me so far. And number 1, I have Metro Boomin presents Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, the future and Lil Uzi song on there is crazy. The Coi Leray song, Self Love, is also crazy. There's just so many. It's really nice to see how Metro is able to put all these different artists in their best comfort positions and what we get out of that. So yeah, very excited to keep listening to that as well. I don't know if I'm going to keep listening to Business is Business though, since like the agenda is over, but we'll see. But moving on, we have Verses comparing two Lil Uzi albums. We are comparing Eternal Atake versus Love is Rage 2. Taylor, which one do you prefer?
I think Love Is Rage 2 probably has more songs that I consider great songs by Lil Uzi Vert. But I am gonna go Eternal Take, and I'm doing it because that album came out right when you and I were being kicked off campus for COVID. And so that is the album that was playing all the time the last time you and me literally were together. So I'm going Eternal Take for that reason, because I remember how excited you and I were for it. It came out, it lived up to the excitement. It was incredible. And then we were gone.
And then also on top of that, we got Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2 the next week, which
I
is
know.
like legendary as fuck. I agree with you. I have to go Eternal Take. Mainly for the same reason why, and we're gonna talk about it more on the other side of the commercial break. Why I'm kind of split on the Pink Tape. The track listing is just amazing. Like the skits in between, the way that he's able to group different sounds together. He has like I think it's what was it like 18 tracks and then 2 bonus tracks. And the way he did it was he had like 6 tracks of one sound, 6 tracks of another sound, and then 6 tracks of other sound, all representing different personalities. Just like there was just so much more intentionality going into it. I do think that Love Is Rage 2 is also maybe a borderline classic. But Eternal Take just I think that's perfection, as perfect as Lil Uzi could be. But that being said, on the other side of this commercial break, we will be talking about Pink Tape by Lil Uzi Vert. So stay tuned, and we just want to rock. Yo, this Young Lil album is the best of all time. I can't wait to talk to Taylor about it, man. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever.
Yo,
Yo, what's good, Taylor? How you doing?
I hate this album.
Do you have to clean your ears first?
My
What's wrong with you?
girlfriend said everything I play in the car scares her. She said I lost all my taste,
Clearly.
and I need your help.
Well, what am I supposed to do about it? You want me to order you Q-tips?
No, I need hoodies. I need a beanie. I need t-shirts. I need you to help.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I can send you this beanie, but everything else we're gonna have to see. Introducing the 2023 OldMilk Collection. This collection, comprised of hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and stickers designed by Nate Sperlin, is guaranteed to show everyone your superior style and taste. Man, I hope Taylor doesn't scare the viewers with that bummy outfit. Oh,
Yo.
no bummy outfit today. Look at that.
No, I'm much better. The album sounded better. Everything is better. All thanks to Old Milk.
Rush over to oldmilk.co to shop the 2023 Old Milk Collection today. All right, welcome back. This is episode 408. We are talking about the Pink Tape. It is 26 tracks, 1 hour and 27 minutes long. Sorry, Taylor. Featuring Travis Scott, Nicki Minaj, Me the Horizon, Don Toliver, and Baby Metal. Join the Pink Tape conversation in the comments below. That being said, Taylor, what did you think about Pink Tape?
So, as I have gotten older and I listen to more music, I find it harder and harder for me to say that music is bad. right? I just don't, because it's like it's way deeper than I ever used to think it is. It's like expression, it's a bunch of different things. So it's hard for me to say that music is just bad sometimes. What's gotten easier for me though is to say when music's not for me. And I would say that 80% of this tape album is not for me. And I've said it before. First of all, 26 tracks, crazy. I'm not like I don't have it. Like it's just that's not happening for me. And then I've also said this before. The second I start getting yelled at or music gets like a little too like the crazy like guitar and Uzi screaming, like I'm probably not gonna listen to that. Same way if young boys screaming, anyone else. I don't do the screaming. I don't do don't yell at me. I'm not gonna listen.
I'm sitting right here. Why are you yelling at me?
Right. And so I know a lot of the narrative that we've seen over the past few days with this has been it's not good. It's bad. Uzi's washed, blah, 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 this, that, this, that, this, that. I'm not saying any of that, but 80% of this project is not for me. It's not what I'm trying to listen to.
Yeah. Okay. So two things: the importance of the second listen and the importance of track listing. I'm gonna get to the importance of the second listen first. Here are legitimately my first listen thoughts. If I called Whole Lot of Red trash, and this is Lil Uzi's version of Whole Lot of Red, Taylor, what do we call Pink Tape?
Gotta call it trash.
Okay. It's like when you're friends with someone for a long time and then you see them like kind of drift away from the connection that you guys have and you gotta like kind of love them from afar. That's how I was feeling. I was also ready to entertain the fact that, hey, I'm 24, you're 24, 25, excuse me, sir. You're 25. Um
Recently 25.
But that being said, I'm willing to entertain. Maybe I'm just not in Lil Uzi's demographic anymore. That being said, he's older than both of us, but still, maybe I'm just not in his demographic anymore. And that being said, I'm just gonna listen to Eternal Take, and before all that, and just enjoy what we had. Those are my first listen thoughts. Now, my second listen thoughts is simply, well, could also come from the first listen, but still, this album is made for a concert setting and nothing else. That being said, in the arena of a concert, this album is crazy. I can see everyone turning up to it. I can see the whole crowd being hyped, the whole crowd knowing every word because there aren't really much words to know. Really, really good execution. And I think that's what Lil Uzi was trying to do. However, I think the one thing that is missing from this is the track listing. I think that if Lil Uzi there were two ways that Lil Uzi could have done this. I think that Lil Uzi could have done it the way that he did Eternal Take from the standpoint of just grouping them all by Sonics and just having like, again, like, let me not say like numbers, but like just like this section is for like all the rage songs. This section is for the songs of Why You Love Me. This section is why like my personal growth songs, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would have really done a better job of highlighting the versatility on this album because when you're going through it, like you're listening to it, you get like a song that you like, and then it's like two songs of Uzi yelling at you, and then you get another song that you like, and then you get two songs of Uzi yelling at you, and you don't really get that cohesion to where you can say that it's a great cohesive project, which is one of the main things that Uzi hangs his hat on, right? The second way that he could have done this is similar to Lupe Fiasco's Drogas Wave, where he has all the rage songs in the front and followed by the rock songs, and then it's every other song. And then that way we're able to, as fans, we're able to adjust to it better. We know, okay, this is the part that I'm gonna skip every time. This is the part that I'm kind of gonna fuck with, and this is the part that I'm here for. So I honestly think that if the track listing was better, I would have a much better, a lot more good things to say about this album. But that being said, Lil Uzi's talent is still there. Like I think that it shows how great of an artist that he is. Same way that of Young Thug, where the track listing is a mess, but you could still see that it's better than what 90% of the rappers can do right now. So that's really my first initial take before we get into the weeds. Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And there is a point when artists get to where it's just like this is who they are. They can fall backwards into the whether it's the sound, the flow, anything like that. They can fall backwards into what we all love. Maybe not what made them like super hot in the beginning or what made them legendary, but they have a baseline idea of of what cruising altitude they need to be at to make music that we're all gonna play. And there's moments on here where it's like, all right, this is Lil Uzi Vert that like took us all by storm in 2015, 2016, and then by 2017 became this like the thing about Uzi is he's grouped into this like the SoundCloud era, right? That and it was right when you and I were getting to college, and you have the him X Juice WRLD was a little after that, but you can put him in there. It's like Trippy Red,
Ski
Lil
Mask.
Yachty, yeah, right, exactly. Ski Mask. So it's like they all them, but he was able to achieve a sound and a feeling that no one else was. That his music really brought you to wherever like this like alternative universe, right? That he exists in. It was able to bring you there, and it wasn't so much these like reaches for that thing. On Pink Tape, I think there are times that you can feel him reaching for that universe, and it doesn't work. But then there are moments, and when we get into favorite tracks, I have like a little stretch of tracks that I'm like, all right, this is where we used to exist. This is what it used to be like to put on an entire project. And I don't want to harp on the whole, oh, like this is how it used to be, because that's not fair. And like you can't expect artists of any genre to just stay in the same place forever, because that gets old too, and then people would complain about that. But I don't know. I think that as time has progressed, the universe that Lil Uzi Vert has built for his fans has definitely shifted more towards a very like aggressive like the rage sound that you described, as opposed to the kind of like outer space like super like shiny kind of like anime cartoonish world that we got so used to. So I think this album challenged me in a way to be like why do I feel the way I do about some of these songs? And part of it is knowing the heights that Uzi used to get to, and still does, occasionally. It makes you want that experience again. It makes you want to feel the same way you did the first time you put on P's and Q's, or the first time you did when you put on, I mean, the biggest example is probably like EXO Tour Life, right?
Mhm.
But I just it's like the universe that exists in just isn't for me anymore. And that just is what it is. And I keep coming back to that because even the Rage songs, I, I think that a lot of the production on this album is incredible. Like
Yeah.
I like a lot of the production, and even the super like aggressive instrumentals. I like that stuff. I think the intro, I like, what is it? Flood the face or flooded the
Yeah.
face? Yeah,
Flooded the face.
flooded the face. That instrumental is incredible. And Uzi like skates in that, and that's kind of just him just rapping. Which when from that first song, I thought we were getting like, from that first song, I was like, okay, we are getting, if it's 26 tracks of this is like the one. Obviously, that's not what happened, but I don't know. I think there's super bright moments on this album, and I think there's moments that it's hard for me to even have an opinion, because it'd be so easy to be like, oh, that sucks, right? But it's like it's just so not even in like the realm of like what I usually listen to, that I don't even feel right being like that sucks. It's just I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, I feel you on the standpoint of maybe it isn't the universe that Uzi used to create isn't for you anymore. How I see it, I kind of feel like, and I don't know why he did this. I feel like he had the world in the palm of his hands after Eternal Take, and he just kind of abandoned that sound with this. I feel like if he came back with Eternal Take 2, I said it on the last podcast. Like if he comes out with Eternal Take 2, essentially, I'm ready to call it a classic because that's how much I really love that type of music. But I guess he's trying to go for a younger demographic, which I understand. He's also maybe trying to adapt a little bit. We did hear some things about him coming out with like a rock album. I guess this is like the example of it. Additionally, there are rumors, and I don't know who the streamer was, but Lil Uzi was talking to some streamer, and he essentially said that next week he's going to drop another album, not a deluxe to this, but something completely different. Additionally, he still has Forever Young pinned on his Twitter page from like that tweet from like 2020 or whatever after he released Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2. So we might be getting that on Friday, and if we get that on Friday, I think I look at this album in a completely different light, because if Forever Young is similar to Love is Rage 2, Lil Uzi Vert versus the World, Perfect Love Tape, Eternal Take, et cetera, then I'm willing to kind of treat this album the same way I treat Untitled Unmastered, from the standpoint of We just don't talk about it. Like the discography is flawless aside from this Raisin here. I do think that this is the weakest album that Lil Uzi made, but again, it shows his talent. And I'm really interested to see if we get another album from him within the coming 6 days. That being said, I also don't want to ignore the parts where he raps about his growth. Primarily towards the end, like on Days Come and Go, he talks about his insecurities. On Rehab, he talks about his experience in rehab, which I'm really glad that he did. So I'm glad that he's in a better, clearer space. I just need, and Lil Uzi knows better too, because again, I'm using Eternal Atake, a Lil Uzi album, to show how good he is at track listing. So maybe this is just like an 0 for 5 day, 4 strikeouts for him. That being said, it has been 3 years. He has been saying, you have to let me take my time. So, by the level of what the standard that Lil Uzi has established for himself, in my opinion, I think this album is trash. Just by the standard that Lil Uzi has set, because Lil Uzi has been one of the best rappers for the past almost decade at this point. As far as I'm concerned, he had no misses until this album. Well, let me say Red and White Tape, because that's really the start of me kind of like being like, oh, this is what we're gonna get into. I don't know how I feel about this. So let me say Red and White Tape. But from Eternal Take to Love is Rage, I'm going in reverse chronological order. There's no skips there. Like if you look at my playlists on Spotify, you will see that I have every single Eternal Take song, every single Love is Rage 2 song, like every single Love is Rage. I mean not Love is Rage, every single Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2 song, et cetera, like that. So that being said, I'm willing to just count this as a raisin, depending on if we get a new album next week. But I do think that overall, this is a little bit of regression from Lil Uzi, just because I understand how attentive he is to the details. And the number one detail in any album, which we've been talking about for the past 2 weeks, has been track listing, and he just completely missed on that.
Yeah, projects like this, and it's been happening for decades, probably like a century now, in terms of when artists reach a stage in their career when they've been super successful for, and usually it's around like half decade, 7 years, and then they start to do what they want with their music, right? They start to experiment, they start to bend the genre that they're in. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that, especially just like the era that you and I grew up in and that we exist in now and participate in. It's so like, it is very reactionary, and a lot of people want to treat all of this like it's a sports season where if you don't win a championship, it's a failure. And that is, and there, and that's not how music works. And it's, we talked about it last week, and there is this, everything, the analysis of everything within pop culture is becoming very like universal, where you can just analyze everything the same exact way, like movie, whether it's like entertainment stuff, movies, music, TV, any of that, sports, whatever. And that's just not how, especially with music, that's just not how it works. Like Uzi's what, a few years older than me and you, so he's in his late 20s, early 30s, right?
Yeah, I
and
want to say
and
he's
he's,
29. I want to say
yeah,
he's right
and
on the
he's
cusp of
been
30.
right, and he's been on top of the world for, or at least was on top of the world for a while. And it's like, that this is what artists are supposed to do. They're supposed to try new things and give us different stuff, because when they give us the same thing over and over again, we turn around and say it all sounds the same. It has no soul, it's vapid, it's empty. And so there really isn't space to win with a project like this. And like you said, it's just, it's there. It is part of the discography. It's part of the journey to wherever is next. And a lot of the times the best artists go through these weird little phases where they have music that is kind of polarizing, and then they come out on the other side and they either channel that into something that is not nearly universally loved, or they just go down a weird path for the rest of their career, and we look back and we like remember the beginning as what we wanted. I think of an artist like, not in terms of the music obviously, but someone like Jay-Z had a weird stretch in the mid 2000s where like after the Black album, people were like, I don't know, like this music isn't like what we want from Jay-Z, because it's not Reasonable Doubt, it's not Blueprint. And then he like had that retirement thing, and then he came back and he made, Blueprint 3, and then other albums that people love, especially like 444. And I'm not expecting Uzi in 10 years to come out with a 444, but I think we have to like take a step back sometimes to remember that this is like a whole process. It's not. This isn't like it's not sports. It's not all right. We have a season every single year, and we have to do this every single year. Like this is what creativity is, and this is what it does and how it goes. So although I don't like the music on this, it's like it's not like I'm not going to listen to the next release just because this came out.
For sure. I mean, again, like we might have the next release in a week, and I don't know how seriously to take that because Lil Uzi, unless Lil Uzi says I'm dropping on July, what would it be like July? Today's the first right now. July 6th. I'm dropping on July 6th, and all you better get ready, et cetera, et cetera. Like I don't know, unless he does that, I don't know how serious to take it. But that being said, I do think that he can't afford to have the same gap in releases between the same way that he did what was it? Perfect Love Tape compared to Love is Rage 2 and then Love is Rage 2 to Eternal Take. I believe between Love is Rage 2 and Eternal Take that was 3 years and between Eternal Take and Pink Tape we have 3 years as well. I don't think he can afford 3 years where he's just like virtually non-existent. I think that he probably should come back with something within the next year or two. And then this will all be, for lack of a better term, forgiven, or this will all be, everyone will make their peace with this. But that being said, I think that this is, if the goal was I'm gonna make an album for all my fans to rage to when they come to the concert, the mission is accomplished. It is. But if the goal was more so I'm gonna use this to try to incorporate my style and still show you a different side of me, but at the same time still show you why you should fuck with me, I don't know if that mission is really accomplished as much. That being said, Taylor, what are your favorite tracks?
Yeah, so the my overall favorite track, and it's not close, is the intro. Flood of the Face. I think, like I said, the instrumental on that, I love the production on that. And then I think Uzi really skates for like 3 minutes straight on that. So no complaints there. My next favorite, I like the 10th track, I Gotta. That's good. And then there's a little stretch here at the end that I really like. It's 4 songs long, and it's the stretch I was talking about where I was like, all right, this is why I'm playing a Lil Uzi Vert album. So it's track 19, which is Pluto to Mars, 20, Patience with Don Toliver, 21, Days Come and Go, to 22, Rehab. And I think, like you said, that is a vulnerable stretch. That's a stretch where we're kind of hearing like Uzi not so much play the character Lil Uzi Vert, but you get like the real rapper, you get the real person coming through. And I think that 4 song stretch really is like a huge, especially where it's placed like 19 to 22. Because after 18 or so tracks of this, I was like, all right, like you start to get fatigued, especially from the stuff you don't like. So for 19 to 22 to be like my favorite stretch kind of was like a redeeming. It's like, all right, I know that's back there. So I'll listen, I'll skip around in the beginning, but I know that stretch is back there. So those are my favorites.
Yeah. In order from best to, well, in order from least best to great to best. We have Patience, I have Rehab, Nakamura. I really like, that was really the first listen. Nakamura was like the first track that I liked going through it in order. Days Come and Go, and of course, but that's a leak. I don't know if that really counts, but I've been listening to that song for, honestly, Lil Uzi might have just given me a reason to delete SoundCloud off my phone by dropping that on Spotify. Moving on to rating the album from an objective playback value and subjective playback value. Taylor, what do you think?
I think my subjective and objective are probably pretty close. Like I said, I'll come back to the intro. I'll probably put that somewhere where I can come back to the intro, but I'm not playing this very much longer. Like I'll give it a few more listens to make sure that I don't like it pretty much, and then it'll come and go. And did I see that it is gonna hit number one?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's Lil Uzi. I didn't
Yeah.
see it,
Okay.
but if Lil Uzi doesn't hit number one, I'd be shocked. I really would.
Right. So I think I think it has probably like a 2 3 week stretch because it is Lil Uzi in terms of just chart performance, but there isn't really like the one song on this that can anchor it and really keep it in a spot for super long. So I would say for me, 1 or 2 more listens. So that's a couple days, and then I at maximum I'd say it's like a 2 3 week stretch on a bigger scale. Just because it is Lil Uzi Vert and he's huge.
Yeah. Um, Subjectively, I'm gonna probably listen to this one more time just to see if there's any more songs that I would add to my playlist, and then after that I would just take the playlist, the songs that I put in my playlist, and just listen to those over and over and over again and just ignore the rest of it. So that's not really like a time frame per se, but that's basically what I'm gonna do. And those songs, I love Lil Uzi, so like those songs are probably gonna last for like months. um Objectively, I think because of what I'm assuming the goal is, which is once again to have something for fans to raise to on tour, I think that this album will be in the ether as long as Lil Uzi's on tour. He hasn't announced any dates or anything yet, but whenever that last tour date is, I think that's when the lifespan of this album ends. All right. This has been the Cop Podcast, episode 408. Thank you for watching. Let us know your comments on Pink Tape in the comments below. Do us a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at OldMilk Media. And check out all the Old Milk content on oldmilk.co. That being said, I hope we're back next week with another Lil Uzi album so I can get the taste of this one out my mouth. But that being said, we'll be back when hip hop tells us to be, and we are out.